This is Mind the Gap with Michael Comyn. The season so far has mostly stayed serious. Dead air and what it's covering for. The authority gradient that keeps the right voice silent at the worst possible moment. The joke that isn't one. The script each of us is running, decided long before we had a vote. And last week, a shuttle disaster and a hospital corridor, and the same quiet mechanism sitting underneath both. A rule bent once safely, until the bend stops looking like one at all. This week, Michael changes register. Lighter and a little mischievous, a phrase you've almost certainly heard said about your own workplace, taken far more seriously than the person who said it probably intended. Here's Michael.
I heard it again this week. A room I was in, doing what I do, and somebody said it warmly, the way people always say it. We're a family here. Now, they meant it kindly. I've no doubt they meant it. But it's the fourth or fifth time this year I've heard the same sentence in a different place, from a different person, about a different workplace entirely. And that's the strange privilege of what I do. I don't get to hear it once, I get to hear it everywhere. So this week, gently, I want to take the family thing seriously. Not knock it down, actually take it seriously, further than the people who say it usually intend. Because here's my first problem with we're a family here. Nobody who says it stops to ask what kind of family they mean. Some families are wonderful, warm, loyal, the kind that show up at 3 a.m. without being asked twice. And some families are a disaster. Some families have a golden child and a black sheep and an uncle nobody sits near at Christmas. Some families run entirely on guilt, on favoritism, or a grudge from 1994 that's never once been mentioned aloud and never once been forgotten. And offices have all these people too, if you look. Every workplace has its golden child, the one who can turn up 20 minutes late and it's so busy, so in demand, while someone else gets a word for the exact same thing. Every workplace has its black sheep, usually the person who said the uncomfortable true thing in a meeting once, in 2019, and has been quietly filed under difficult ever since, regardless of anything they've ever done since. And every workplace has an equivalent of the uncle nobody sits near at Christmas. You know, the seat at the table nobody chooses first. If your workplace is a family, that's not automatically a compliment. It's a coin toss, and most families, if we're honest, are running at least one of these at any given time. So next time someone tells you the office is a family, the honest response isn't, how lovely, it's, which kind exactly? And which one of us is the black sheep? Now, the second problem is the more serious one, and I want to be fair to it rather than just clever about it. A real family, a good one at its best, offers something no employer ever legally can, and I'd argue no employer ever should try to promise. Unconditional love. You don't get performance managed out of your own family. Nobody puts your childhood on a pip. You can turn up at 40 having achieved nothing you said you'd achieve at 25, and the door should still be open. That's not sentimentality. That's the actual definition of the thing. The love isn't contingent on output. An organisation cannot offer you that, and the honest ones don't pretend to. Somewhere underneath every "we're a family here," there's a redundancy policy, a notice period, a performance review, sitting quietly in a drawer waiting, not because anyone's being cruel, because that's what an employer actually is, contractually, no matter how warmly it talks. A family that could let you go for missing Q3 isn't behaving like a family. It's behaving exactly like what it actually is, and borrowing the word for the goodwill while keeping every one of the exits. That's not me being cynical about the people who say it. Most of them mean every word. I think that's almost the point. They're reaching for the warmest word they have to describe something they do genuinely value. And family is simply the closest word English gives us for people I'd go out of my way for. I don't think the phrase is a lie. I think it's a metaphor, doing a job it was never built to do, and creaking under the weight of it. If I'm honest about what I've actually seen in all those different rooms, in all those different years, the teams that function best rarely reach for the word at all. They don't need to say it. It's other people, watching from outside, who end up saying it about them. The word tends to show up loudest exactly where the thing it's describing is thinnest. Often, if you listen for it, not long before a restructuring email. So here's what I'll leave you with. Lightly, because it deserves to be taken lightly. If you had to describe your team honestly, without reaching for the word family, because you're not allowed to at this time, what would you actually call it?
That was Mind the Gap with Michael Comyn, Episode 7, Not That Kind of Family. This week, why we're a family here is a coin toss disguised as a compliment. What your workplace's golden child and black sheep say about the metaphor, and the one thing a real family offers that no employer legally can. If today's episode had you thinking about the words organisations reach for and what they're really doing when they borrow them, Michael's book Between the Lines, Understanding Language and Communication is about exactly that. Out now on Amazon.